Alright, I have my stainless lines tie wrapped together. I've got them partially shoved in. Oh, they've arrived at the valve. I'm going to check and make sure I'm under where I need to be and near my clips. Alright, I'm at the back. They're laid in there. Get these. Oh, underneath my fill hose. Okay. They're about there. Sitting about where they need to be. All right. Okay. My lines are sitting about where they need to go. I'm gonna probably cut my black tie wraps holding them together now and try to fit them in the clips along the frame, and then I'll start the video again. Okay, I got my black electrical tape off my fittings on the back. I'm going to put a little anti-seize lubricant on the nuts, on the threads. Had to manipulate the orange line quite a bit to get it started, but it went in. I got them laid in. I got to get those two lines in that clip and on down the line to the front, so I know where the lines go. But I'm going to try to start them in there now. Okay, I got my first line started in. Now you got to take your time. I had to get both hands up there and kind of bend the line a little bit, push it all the way in. And you got to take care when starting these nuts. You do not want to cross thread them. Try to start them with your fingers. Make sure that they're straight going in. There, that just snugged up. I'm going to start this one next. I have the two lines in. Now I'm going to make sure the routing on the top of the frame on the clips is okay. I'm going to work on clipping them down. Okay, I got my lines are in back there. They're all in the clips. All the way down to the front, they're in the clips. The Dorman stainless lines laid in there pretty good. Had to do a little manipulating and bending a little bit to get the line to line up for the nuts to start. Got the wire loom back in the clips. And I'm putting my fill tube bracket back on. Okay, I cannot get my brake. I cannot get my brake bleeder opened up. I got quite a long 1/4" ratchet on it. I'm gonna try a little heat. I got a vice grip holding my rubber hose out of the way. It's about 2.5 inches away from that. So I'm gonna heat the side of it right here, and do the best I can. Let it cool off a little bit, and I'll try it. I've got everything back in place. I do not have the body back down, and so I can check for leaks at my fittings back here when I get the brakes bled and hooked up. Okay, I had to get my acetylene torch out and heat that bleeder up. I heated the housing right below the bleeder just for about 35 seconds or so, a minute. Pulled it off and let it set for just a minute or so, and then I slowly started to turn it back and forth, and it finally come out. I cleaned up the threads and put never sees on them. I'm going to take my passenger side rear wheel off and work on that. 2006 Chevy Tahoe rear brake line replacement. Got the new brake lines in there hooked up. Got them all ran. The body is still up on blocks. And I got my vacuum pump hooked up to my first bleeder. If you watched my previous video, I had to heat both of my bleeders on the rear calipers with my oxyacetylene torch and work them out back and forth. I quenched them with WD-40 to cool the bleeder screw. Backed them out slowly, cleaned the threads, never seized them back in. I have my vacuum tube hooked up here with a little tie wrap around it. And then the bleeder cup that the fluid goes in so you don't waste it or make a mess. I am going to add my brake fluid in. Just going to pour the whole thing in. I have more in the garage. Like I said, when this blew this brake line, it dumped it all out of that line overnight. I had to have it towed. There, we have enough in there. You can see the level right there. That's good enough for now. Okay, I got my pump working. I had to take it apart and put some Parker Super Lube inside the barrel here on this O-ring seal. Took all this handle off, and it, like I said, it sits in a box. I don't use it much, so I sealed her all up. Now it's pumping. Pulling a vacuum, and you can see it working out of the line there. So we'll be pulling brake fluid through the line, so it's going to take a bit. I got a good vacuum. There's my helper. What? Nosy. Okay, I started it. I got a good vacuum on it, and I'm getting fluid, solid fluid. I'm about full here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this bleeder I did have to start it and pump my brake a little bit, get fluid pushing back here, and that helped out immensely. Sometimes it's hard to do this by yourself if you don't have a brake bleeder vacuum pump like this. I'm gonna shut this. Alright. Okay, I'm happy with this side. You can see there's solid fluid coming out. And that filled up in a matter of seconds. So I'm gonna stop bleeding the left side here. I'm gonna let off my vacuum with this valve. I'm gonna go ahead and, uh-oh, somebody wants to go bye-bye. Hey. I'm gonna go ahead and take this hose off and go to the passenger side. I do want to add one thing. If you have a vacuum pump like this, after you've closed your bleeder valve and you have fluid in your line, put a vacuum on it. That way, when you take your line off, it sucks as soon as it starts sucking air, it sucks all the fluid back into the reservoir. See that? It sucked it into the reservoir. That way we don't make a big mess. You still have some in your line. It cleans it. That's just a tip to keep it clean. Okay, we're on the passenger side here. You see the bubbles coming out. I just started bleeding this side. I still got a vacuum on this. I'll pump it up a little more. There we go. We'll let her pull some fluid out. Okay, I'm bleeding it some more. I pumped up the brakes a couple times. My StabiliTrak and traction control's been disabled, and I think I just got enough pressure to turn them lights off. So you can see the little bubbles coming out. I'm just gonna keep working it till I have no bubbles. All right, I'm happy with that. The bleeder's open and that bubble's just sitting there. It's not filling that up. Looks good. Okay, got the brakes bled. I bled it with my vacuum pump, and then my son came home for a little bit, and I had him, pump the brake pedal 3 times, hold it to the floor, and I still had it hooked to the vacuum pump. Open that bleeder. I got some small bubbles out of it, shut them. I did each side twice like that, and I got great pedal now. I have no leaks back there. No drips around the new fittings either. So it looks like my rear brake job's done. Now I just got to lower the body to that body mounts. Okay, I'm getting ready to let my body down. I have it on jack stands on the back. I put the 2x4 right under my step bar brackets to lift the body off the frame. I put blocks in the rear and in the front. Okay, I got the block out. I just had to pull a little hard. But I'm going to get the one out of the front and I'm going to let her down. Here's the one under the front. Had them wedged in there. I didn't jack it up as high as I needed to, but that's okay. Alright, I got the body down. I'm going to put the body bolt in.